Despite our love of binge-watching television, streaming services are still drip-feeding us the latest sci-fi blockbusters. Aussie sci-fi fans are spoiled for choice right now, with Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams coming to Stan this week and Star Trek Discovery landing on Netflix next week. Before you get too excited about an all-night binge session, both shows will be released in broadcast-style weekly installments, rather than dropping the entire season at once. Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams might look to the future, but it's still stuck in the broadcast models of old. To be fair, Stan, owned by Fairfax Media, has its hands tied in that Electric Dreams belongs to the UK's Channel 4. The broadcaster understandably doesn't want streaming services to release episodes around the globe before they're shown on Freetor in the UK. Times are starting to change, with SBS On Demand releasing all of The Handmaid's Tale before screened on Freetor, and the BBC taking the same approach with some new shows. Not so with CBS Star Trek Discovery, which won't be broadcast on Freetor in the US. Instead, it will only run on the CBS All Access streaming service, appearing on Netflix the next day in overseas markets like Australia. Even though the show is only appearing online, CBS has opted to stick with the traditional same bat time, same channel model, which means Netflix must follow suit. Weekly installments make perfect sense in the commercial Freetor broadcast television model. Even online, there are still benefits to sticking with the tried-and-true formula, at least benefits for the content providers. A weekly schedule gets people into the habit of coming back, plus it lets shows become part of morning workplace water cooler conversations, as everyone is watching at the same pace. The incredible hype that builds up around HBO's Game of Thrones each season is certainly helped by the fact we all have an entire week to talk about each episode and anticipate the next. Some shows also need a little time to find their feet. After 2 episodes, Seth MacFarlane's new sci-fi comedy The Orville, screening on Freetor Fox in the US, is yet to hit its stride. Great sci-fi with strong story arcs tend to be a slow burn. Going back a few years, the first season of Babylon 5 was rather pedestrian, but by the end it was truly gripping television. You could argue that weekly installments give a show time to grow on viewers, or you might argue that it's more tempting to abandon a show when the next episode isn't just a click away. Meanwhile, from the audience's perspective, the traditional weekly broadcast model is a mixed blessing. No one likes waiting, and Netflix has taken the idea of instant gratification to new levels, with a nightly mantra of just one more episode robbing us all of precious sleep. In return, we've unfortunately lost the concept of communal appointment television, which is now mostly reserved for live events like sport. The concept of weekly installments might seem like a throwback to a bygone era, but I don't think it's the actual waiting that's the problem. You don't tend to hear people complain about the fact that HBO doesn't drop an entire season of Game of Thrones at once. The problem with a weekly schedule isn't the waiting, but rather the crap that often goes along with it. Imagine how painful it would be to watch Game of Thrones each week on a commercial Freetor network like Channel 9. Australia's commercial broadcasters treat viewers with contempt, deliberately starting shows late, making last-minute schedule changes and plastering promos over the top. It's this kind of bastardry which drove a generation of Australian viewers to the BitTorrent and VPN channels, and we have no intention of going back. The real attraction of streaming services isn't binge watching. The real attraction is being treated with respect as a viewer. As long as streaming services keep faith with their audiences, I think we'll keep coming back week after week,